no public input. And now we will move to local board input, and I've seen him online, our chair of the Kaipatiki Local Board, John Gillen, and he's here to speak to the Waimanawa Little Shoal Bay Shoreline Adaptation Plan. Kia ora, John, thank you for joining us. So you'll just have the normal 5 minutes. I'm not sure you have I don't think you have a presentation, but no. There'll be time for questions as well. So just whenever you're ready, cool. Thank you.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and to the committee for allowing me to speak today. There's a lot of love from the community for Little Shoal Bay and a lot of passion for what is happening there at the moment with the seawater inundation and flooding, both over the existing seawall during king tides due to climate change and also through the streams and wetland, which has been steadily increasing since the tidal gates were removed some time ago. The Kaipatiki Local Board has for a number of years been working with both staff and representatives from a number of local community groups on various assessments and planning around the future of the park and the value that the public places on all of the assets and areas within the park. And I'd really like to thank Sarah Jones and her team for the work they did and for navigating the range of opinions and resolutions from the local board. After the local board resolved on protecting much of the park assets and the freshwater area from the saltwater inundation, Paul Kleinak's team escalated a mini shoreline adaptation plan for Little Shoal Bay, and I'd really like to thank Paul and his team for doing that. Through the SAP process, we heard from a wide range of the community groups, mana whenua and staff, on whether for each area within the park there should be active intervention from the flooding, or whether we should allow it to flood, or various options in between. And while the consultation on this was underway, a huge number of the local communities signed a petition urging council to protect the assets in the bay from inundation, and that helped to boost the number of formal responses to the consultation. After all of the opinions were taken into consideration and the local board put forward its feedback, I'm very pleased with where we've landed. Through the SAP plan, we now have an agreement on where council will provide limited intervention and where it will hold the line on the seawater over the short, medium and long term, starting from 2025. And I'm very pleased also that staff have been able to identify funds within existing budgets to implement a range of initiatives between now and 2025 to work towards these goals and to slow down the flooding. So today, I'd like to encourage the committee to please support this plan, which has already been formally endorsed by the Kaipatiki Local Board. And again, I'd like to thank everyone who has been involved in this enormous task. Kia ora.
Thank you so much, Chair Gillen. Very concise, and thank you to the local board for your phenomenal work in this space and working with the staff and mana whenua and community to get what I think is a good result. Right, Councillor Watson, the question?
Yes, thank you, John. A good presentation as usual. As a former user of Dudding Park there with back in the day with the Tigers, just curious to know where this all lands in respect of protection of the park. I know in previous years it's been used as a cricket pitch. I think there was an artificial pitch there at one time. Soccer and occasionally there were league teams even training there. So where does that all land, John, in terms of the park protection?
Thank you, Councillor Watson. Well, assuming that the committee today endorses this plan, then going forward, we will be protecting the park, and the actual solution to that will need to be worked out. But this at least will draw a line in the sand that there will be no more inundation of that park, because at the moment not only is the water wearing away at the field surface, but we've got seawater crabs in there eating away at the dirt. We've got various saltwater plants growing over the field, and it also floods, which means that it can't be used a lot of the time. So, but if this plan is endorsed, then we will have agreement between the local board, staff, and council to actually work on finding ways to protect the sports field.
Great, glad to hear it. Thanks, John.
Member Wilson, next question.
Thank you, John, for your presentation. Yes, it was very concise. There's some good stuff in there, and it says that it was developed in the spirit of partnership with mana whenua. I suppose my question is, does the board enjoy that relationship with mana whenua iwi past the SAP?
Yes, although there is a lot of room for improvement, I acknowledge that. But yes, we have been working with mana whenua on that. We've been working with mana whenua on our local park management plan as well, which is currently up for consultation, and we'll also have some input into the future of Little Shoal Bay as well. But there is definitely scope for improving that relationship.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Member Wilson. Mayor Goff.
Yeah, thanks, John, for being here and for your presentation. And I agree that the plan is a good first step, but of course what it doesn't do is consider costs. And we're going to have 20 shoreline adaptation plans, and we're dealing with climate change and more severe weather events and rising sea levels. And this is going to be a hugely expensive process to hold the line. I think we all acknowledge that. I just wondered whether your board had any thoughts about how we should best fund the sort of work that will need to be done to convert the plan into reality.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's a very meaty question for me. No, we haven't put forward any solution to that. That's something that we'll leave up to the governing body to sort out. But what I would like to say, though, is that Little Shoal Bay is an area that is a bit different to these other areas that you will be considering. We have existing infrastructure in place. We also have under the ground there a big question mark over what is there. We think there is a lot of rubbish, a lot of toxic waste and things in there. And if we don't do anything and we allow the seawater to come in, there's a huge risk that that will leach into the Waitemata Harbour. We've also got a through road there, which is technically part of the park, but it is used by a lot of the residents in Birkenhead Point and Northcote Point to travel between, and that would need to be converted into a bridge or something. So whichever way we go in Little Shoal Bay, there are going to be huge cost implications. I acknowledge that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Goff. And I do not believe there are any other questions. So I'll move the acknowledgement there. Seconded by Councillor Darby. Thank you very much, Chair Gillen, to you and the board. You're welcome to stay for the discussion, but we can update you afterwards if you're unable to. So thanks again for attending, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right. All those in favour?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Right, we'll move straight to it then. The Waimanua Little Shoal Bay report. Sorry. Oh, this is not great. I forgot extraordinary business. Is there any extraordinary business? I didn't think so, so I was just skipping over it. Right. So